Then there's fire losses. Now these are a couple things that are going to be different in your book. I noticed I had a little typo here. So this is fire losses, and then this is the vehicle damage over here. Okay, as far as the things that we charge differently there, or the things that goes to, not so much what we charge, but 3.2 billion in fire losses, 2.2 billion in vehicle damage. And you think about that, we have a lot of vehicle damage. If you think that about a third of fatalities in the state every year come from vehicular driving. I mean, the vehicular side of things. You know, having people behind the wheel of the car. Okay. Okay, so the direct costs are fairly easy to see, aren't they? It's kind of like an iceberg. You see that top part, we don't see a lot of the bottom part. So the top part to the direct, to cost of things is the medical, the indemnity, the workers' compensation costs as far as the premiums rising, your E-mod factor and all those kind of things coming up, and your property losses as well, okay? What you don't see are some of these things. The time lost by the injured employee, not so much just also, you know, maybe it's nothing that they get paid for, but that they're out of work for half a day, okay, because they had to go to the doctor, even a small injury or something like that. But they do lose time, and then when they lose time, don't the other employees lose time? So we have an individual that reaches into a conveyor belt and gets the back of his hand tore up. You know, OSHA's gonna come in and take a look at this. How long are they gonna be out with this? Okay, so you can't clean up after this until OSHA's done with their inspection. How long is that gonna take? The time, you know, the efficiency we talked about, the team this morning, being part of a team and how people feel about being part of the team. All of a sudden you start taking individuals on and off out of that team. What happens to the continuity of that team, the effectiveness of the team? That gets affected in this process as well. Supervisors not just doing what they're supposed to be doing, now they're filling out injury reports and accident investigation stuff and paying attention to that. So anything you can go through here, you can see where there's a time involved in here that you don't necessarily, same thing as you don't necessarily put it towards that particular injury, but it is cost things that we see coming up, okay? Damage from the accident, fire, water, failure to fill orders. So now you're affecting your customer base. They're not going to be as happy because, oh, we had something happen. We can't get that out to you right away. Overhead costs. How about litigation costs? Just had the same thing that just happened recently. Well, let's see, it's longer than recently now. It's probably been almost 7, 8 years ago. We had an individual involved in a cave-in. He was without, they got him out of the cave-in fairly fast, by the way. But he was without oxygen for 6 minutes. Body survived, mine didn't. Now you're seeing the litigation part of this process come out, and they're still involved in the litigation part of that process, okay? How about the other miscellaneous things that we don't necessarily think about? How about morale? How does that work in your organization when people are constantly getting hurt? How does that affect everyone else in the organization? Man, I don't want to work here anymore. You get hurt here, you know, or you're kind of got that thought in the back of your head, oh, you know, I could get hurt. It affects the morale part. How about your reputation? How well do you guys try and keep your name of your organization in the best light possible, right? Man, look at all the things we're doing for the community. Look at all the good things we do. We're ingrained in the community. We're doing everything we can for the community. You know, you work all the time. You hire advertisers and people like that to help you put this together so you can show the community that you're doing a good job of being involved, that you're a good member of the community. And then all of a sudden you have an injury. What happens in the news? So-and-so was hurt, and what do they bring up? Bam, where it happened, right? And if it lasts a couple news cycles, bam, bam, the name goes out there. And someone was saying it earlier, you know, it takes 4 positives for every negative. It's the same thing when you talk about reputation. You get 1 negative, it'll last forever. You get, you know, you have to have more positives to override 1 negative, and it's really hard to do. I was on the committee for the governor's conference, and we had a particular organization that had put in their application for the award, and I'm looking at it, I'm going, nah, that looks pretty good. And someone got a hold of it and said, oh, no. Do you know who these people are? And I said, no, I don't know who they are. She goes, you never heard of this injury? And I said, no. And apparently someone had gotten their arm really mangled. And so I was like, wow, that was pretty gutsy of them to put in for a safety award after that happened. So I got to asking questions, and so I called and talked to one of my coworkers that worked in that area, and I said, so what's up with this particular company? He says, oh, Lord, Kirk, he said, you wouldn't believe it. He said, we've been working with this company for a while. He said, you know how long ago that was that injury happened? No, he said, about 7, 8 years ago. And it's that firmly entrenched in everyone's mind. When you hear that company, that's what comes to everyone's mind. Not the fact that they've improved, not the fact that they took that as a wake-up call and have started taking steps to make sure that never happened again, but they're looking at it from the standpoint of, that happened. And they'll never get past that point for a number of years, okay? And of course, that human tragedy part, how many of you guys want to be the one that has to go to talk to a spouse to let them know that, you just were pushing the rules just a little bit and their spouse's number came up? Do you want to have that conversation?